This is seriously one of the most mouth-watering pineapple fragrances in my collection. So let's review Rave now. Yo, what's good guys? Hunter here and welcome back to the channel where I upload weekly fragrance content, so you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button down below so you don't miss any future videos, and be sure to follow me over on my Instagram page. But today we have a hyped up fragrance by Lattafa actually, which is surprising that this is somewhat of a Lattafa sub-brand, even though the fragrance itself isn't branded Lattafa, but you will see on the box it is a Lattafa fragrance, which for me personally, I've been a huge fan of these kind of entry-level, affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. They just create so many bangers, and Rave now is another one added to the list. Like I was saying, this is a hyped up fragrance that like everybody was talking about on TikTok, but honestly, a hyped up fragrance on TikTok doesn't really mean that much. I don't know about you guys, but I'm honestly not the biggest fan of TikTok like at all. But that's besides the point, guys. This fragrance is actually very solid for what it is. And if you love pineapple fragrances, you love that kind of aventus DNA, then you're absolutely in for a treat. So let's go over some information. Now, Rave now was actually launched in 2022, which means it is only a few years old at the time of this recording. As far as the retail price, only size this one comes in, which is the 100 ml like I have in hand, will run you around that $20 mark, sometimes even less, guys. And I will leave a tag on this video, the best price you can find this for, and I think it is even under $20. I personally found mine over at Burlington for around that $20 mark myself, but I believe you can get it cheaper online. The concentration is in eau de parfum, so you are getting a pretty respectable concentration with this for the price at least. Of course, higher than an eau de toilette or an eau de cologne, but less than something like an extrait de parfum. The perfumer is actually unknown, and that's usually the case with these kind of entry-level, affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. They usually don't post who the nose was that created each one. But if anybody has any clue or insight, leave a comment about that down below. So with all the information out of the way, let's look at the packaging and presentation you'll get with Rave now. All right, take a look at the box, which I actually really enjoy the aesthetic of this box, and the material is kind of like this fabric material, which feels high quality. Of course, you have Rave now with this kind of like box pattern going on, a Rave right there. On the bottom, you will find your barcode and batch code to authenticate your product and see when it was actually produced. And then on the back, some information, and there is your Lattafa kind of hologram right there. So it is kind of a sub-brand to Lattafa. So let's look at the bottle now. So take a look at the bottle, which is very similar to the box with this kind of square pattern in the back, which I think looks good and kind of has this transparent glass so you can't see your juice level, which I like. Of course, now eau de parfum. On the bottom, you have your sticker with some basic information. On the back, the same kind of style with the Rave as well. On top, the Rave logo. Nothing inside of the cap and nothing on the atomizer. And this cap is somewhat plastic, but it does have a nice weight to it, and it does click into place very securely. In the top, you have pineapple, bergamot, blackcurrant, and apple. In the mid, you have patchouli, birch, jasmine, and rose. And in the base, you have musk, vanilla, oak moss, and ambergris. And this will be classified as a fruity sweet. So let's spray this and test out these atomizers. Honestly, a pretty good atomizer, as you've seen right there, so you can spray a lot of juice on each spray, which is always fantastic. So let's go ahead and remind myself of Rave now. So right away, you are going to get one of the most juiciest, brightest, mouth-watering pineapple notes I've ever tried in the opening of a fragrance. It's also pretty ripe and just extremely refreshing. It honestly kind of smells like pineapple juice. It's that vibrant and just dominant right away. It's the primary note without a doubt. And when it comes to any of those aventus genre fragrances, rather they're inspired by, somewhat similar, colognes, etc., this has probably the brightest, fruitiest pineapple in any of those fragrances I've tried. So if you always love those kind of pineapple forward aventus DNAs, then this is going to be right up your alley. This does actually also get compared to Quad Off version by Lattafa, pretty much the same brand. I think Quad Off version has a little bit more going on and less of that pineapple fruitiness than this does. So if you wish Quad Off version had a little bit more of the pineapple, then you're going to love this one. Now, besides the pineapple, even though it's a dominant note, you have a few other notes going on and mixed together, as well as that fruity kind of Granny Smith green green apple note as well, which you do find, of course, in like aventus, alongside this fruity black currant, which does give it a nice kind of dark inkiness about it as well. So through and through, you got fruits on fruits on fruits in the opening of Rave Now. Just an absolute amazing opening that will get so many people's attention immediately. As we make our way into the mid, you are going to get that green patchouli, which is kind of more so of like a minty patchouli rather than so much earthy as sometimes patchouli can come across. Just a more fresher take on patchouli, which I think fits this scent profile perfectly. Alongside this woody birch note, which does give it somewhat of a smoky quality. Of course, when you think of birch wood, it does usually make a fragrance slightly more smoky, just like how it's done in aventus itself. But if you do love those smoky style aventus scent profiles, this isn't really gonna scratch that itch. It's just a pinch of smokiness from the birch. It's more so just woody. You also do have the jasmine and rose listed, but thankfully I'm not really getting much florals at all in this DNA. And believe me, once the woodiness and the patchouli start to come through, you're still gonna get the fruitiness from the opening that isn't going anywhere anytime soon at least. So fruity, fresh, and woody is what you're gonna be getting from the opening to the mid. And then finally, in the base of Rave Now is where things do change quite a bit. The fruitiness is somewhat gone completely once you finally get into the Drydown. You are just going to be left with this very kind of clean white muskiness mixed together with this somewhat bitter, green, earthy, aromatic oak moss note, which is very similar to something like you find in nishane hacivat, mixed with that ambergris, which gives it a nice kind of musky saltiness a little bit, with this somewhat sweet, creamy vanilla that is not dominant at all. It's probably the least dominant note in the base, but if you do kind of look for it, you will find a nice sweet vanilla just to round it off perfectly. So for all my pineapple lovers out there, I honestly think this is a must have in the collection, especially for the price you can find it for. You honestly cannot beat it. And if I had to choose Rave Now or Quad Off version by the same brand, I honestly think I'm gonna rock Rave Now. Don't get me wrong, Quad Off version is fantastic. It may even be a little bit redundant if you already own that one, but if you don't own Quad Off version, I think I would recommend you guys check out Rave Now because they are around the same price as well, and I just think this is a better, fresher, kind of fruitier fragrance. For the best seasons to rock Rave Now, if you happen to pick up a bottle, it's primarily gonna be the fall, spring, and summer. Kind of stay away so much in like the winter time because this fragrance just smells a little bit too like bright, fresh, and fruity, which isn't necessarily the best for the colder weather, but man, for the spring and summer, without a doubt, this is gonna be an absolute banger. And you can still rock it in like the fall time when it is a little bit kind of cool outside, somewhat chilly, but not so much cold. Even though if you only had like 20 bucks to spend on its signature scent, you could pull this one off all 4 seasons. However, it doesn't really work the best in the winter time since there's better fragrances for the cold. But it would absolutely still get the job done if you really wanted it to. When it comes to occasions with Rave Now that I picture the best with this, I honestly think it is pretty versatile. You can absolutely make this one a casual scent if you wanted to, like wearing a dress down in like a hoodie, shorts, t-shirt, but you can absolutely dress it up too in like maybe a nice sweater like I have on now, a button up, a suit, even a tuxedo if you're going to like a nice wedding event. Because when you think of that aventus DNA, you kind of think of a fragrance that could just do it all. It isn't really no different, even though it might lean a little bit more casual than formal when it comes to that scent profile, just because of the ultra fruity opening. But it is just something you can wear to the office, at work, etc. But you can also dress it up to a wedding, a nice kind of party going out, because I mean, at the end of the day, this is called Rave Now, so maybe it's suited to going for like a rave, but also you can wear it going on like a date during the day or even a date at night. It just kind of works. When it comes to gender, I think Rave Now definitely leans on the masculine side of things. When I think of this scent profile, I immediately think of a guy. There's nothing really feminine about this scent. Like I said earlier, not getting any of the jasmine, rose, florals in here. But if a woman absolutely loved like aventus, hacivat, maybe some of the other inspired by fragrances, I think she could rock this one, maybe even better than those ones, just because it's not as smoky, not as earthy, etc., but still an absolute masculine leaning fragrance at the end of the day. And when it comes to age group, I would categorize Rave Now as a youthful leaning fragrance, just because it kind of comes across like a party fragrance. It smells very playful, fun, etc., and it's on the more affordable side of things too. So I think this would be like an absolute perfect fragrance for like a teenager, maybe in late teens, going to like school, maybe going to college, and then even maybe somebody like early 20s, mid 20s, maybe possibly like the late 20s is just the kind of guy I imagine wearing this one. Also kind of gives me F-boy characteristics if I'm being honest. But if you're an older guy, maybe 30s, 40s and up, and you like this fragrance, then you can rock it as well. There's no kind of age category on a fragrance. I'm just kind of painting you guys the best picture. Just in case you do get this and you didn't want something that does smell youthful, because it does, I'm just warning you, even though like for me, I love this fragrance, I wear it. It's actually my scent of the day today too. And I'm in my late 20s, so wear whatever you want, because I know sometimes people do get offended if you are a little bit older and I categorize a fragrance as youthful, and it is like your signature scent. Don't take it personal, guys. Everything is subjective as well. So wrapping the review off, talking on the performance you should expect from Rave now. So for me, I did actually get above average performance with this one, which did surprise me, especially when you spray this at first and realize how bright it is. It seems like something that won't last that long, but it actually did. My testing on skin, I did get around 10 hours longevity from it, which is extremely respectable for this kind of DNA. Now, I will say though, it did perform a little bit less than off version, just because that one is a little bit darker, deeper, etc. This one's more bright and zesty. It's still above average performance that I don't really see anybody kind of can complain about, unless you absolutely get a terrible batch or your skin chemistry is just crap with this fragrance. Then that might be a different story, but you always can spray on clothes, and clothes always makes the fragrance last a little bit longer, but doesn't necessarily project as much. And also when it comes to the projection of Rave now, I got about moderate projection, which means people will smell you, people will compliment you, but just don't expect this fragrance to necessarily project across the room. It's not like a nuclear fragrance, beast mode fragrance, or anything like that, but still a strong, respectable performer without a doubt. And man, when you walk around with the Cios trail you leave behind you, this fruity pineapple trail, you walk by, somebody's gonna be like, wow, am I on vacation, pretty much, because it just gives you that kind of a vibe, like drinking a pina colada. So it's not gonna be an intimate performer where people have to like come like really close to you, like 5 inches away from you to smell you. It's nothing like that. People will notice you. You will get attention with this one and probably ask what you're wearing because they're interested. So just be ready to answer some questions while wearing Rave now. So that's gonna do it for my review of the hyped up Rave. Now let me know down below if you guys have tried this one before. What are your thoughts on it? If you like it, if you don't like it, I'm very curious to hear you guys' opinions. Also leave a comment below. What is your favorite fragrance with this kind of pineapple scent profile? Because man, there's so many good ones out there. But besides that, leave a like, subscribe below if you haven't already, and of course, you already know I'll see all of you back here in my next upload. Take care, everybody.